Peace, y'all. It's your girl B from B&ROSE here. Welcome to the B&ROSE Vision. This space has been activated to support the B&ROSE core values, which are art, intuition, reverie, create beauty, truth and love, and most importantly, relationship to self. Deepening the relationship to self through introspection, through reflection, through emotional honesty. So there's no way, with all that's happening in this universe at this time, celestially, cosmically, that I would not show up here with a full moon carpool, a Mercury retrograde carpool, a Chiron and Taurus carpool. I mean, so many things happening in the celestial world that will definitely bring cause to introspect and reflect. And so through tarot, which is how I choose to deepen that connection, to deepen and bring light and exposure to maybe some ideals, maybe some emotions that the collective could be facing. Like I said, part of the B&ROSE core values are emotional honesty. And with this being a full moon, sorry, you hear me shuffling the Moonology Oracle cards. And with this being a full moon and a very significant one, you know, we're in the Taurus season, we're in Cancer season officially, and it's Chiron that's in Taurus, the wounded healer, self-worth, and the emotional aspect of Cancer. A lot of home-centered, which is home being the inner world, the mind, the heart, the body, trying to bring balance or either bring acknowledgement to those parts of ourselves that we can no longer hide from the moon's light, right? Full moons are all about exposing the shadows, exposing those tough feelings, those tough mindsets that may need to be addressed. And with us being in the summer season, I pray for us all that may all things come to the light to either burn or grow. All right? So let's shuffle once again our Moonology cards and get into a collective reading. We'll see what the collective energy is and see what the divine may want to share with us going into this week. All right? This has been a very big week for me as a poet author. I am releasing my second heart project coming out of B&ROSE, published by B&ROSE. It's called Daydreams About Night Things Volume 2. The link will be in the description bar for you to check it out, and I hope that you do, okay? But this is not about me. This is about the collective, and let's see if we can see what the collective is stepping on going into this week. Let's turn the music down just a tad. Had it up pretty high during my meditation session. So, wow, we've got, let's see here. Communication is key. Communication is key. Got quite a few messages here. Your commitment is being tested. What do you need to release? What do you need to release? And balancing spirituality with practicality. Okay. So with this communication is key and your commitment being tested, I'm kind of getting that there could be, and also what you need to release. All of this is kind of a combined message here that I'm seeing with the collective. Could be in a position where they're feeling something internally, maybe still trying to conceptualize it, trying to think about exactly what they feel, right? And while in that process, trying to find the space and the vulnerability to be open for communication. I know a lot of times, a lot of us people, humans, we feel that while we're still in our heads, whether it's about another person, whether it's about an opportunity, a new opportunity, or maybe something that has reached its, turning point, its breaking point, however you may, however you may want to say it or think about it, right? Because it could be either way. I'm not sure. But while we are figuring it out, we kind of close ourselves off to those persons or that we're still indecisive about, right? And what I mean is, just to break it down plain so that it's not, spoken in this mysterious type of language, if it is a relationship or if it is another person that is on your mind, or you're still trying to figure out whether it's something you want to come, build with, come closer to, or, kind of distance yourself from, be open to communicating that. I think a lot of times we think because we're in our minds and trying to figure it out, we forget the messages or the signals or the energy, the vibes that we're giving off to the outside world, right? Those other things that are in our orbit, other people, other opportunities, and with that, we leave people to come up with their own, they get to perceive it in the way that they feel, right? When you're not communicating, then you leave your actions up for another person to interpret. And that's not always fair, depending on the type of situation and what I'm getting, especially in this type of energy that we're in with Cancer season, with Mercury retrograde, with the full moon, that this is this communication that's being, instructed to do, right? That's reminding us that it is key, is to something that we might care about, right? So be open to even saying, I'm still figuring it out. It's still on my mind. And even though I may be doing other things in the process, I am still thinking and wondering about how to release this information, this feeling, this emotion, this opportunity, whatever it may be, because your commitment is being tested, and that takes me back to how when we're in our heads and we're not communicating, we leave so much up for the other person to interpret in their own way. And if they're feeling like your commitment is imbalanced, they feel, even with me having a hard time finding that word, they may have a hard time figuring out where your head is. Are you in? Are you out? And when you think about it, when you feel that another person may be confused about the next step that they want to take, whether it's in a relationship or a business relationship, romantic relationship, however, then you kind of start to feel that you need to also, the person on the outside may start to feel as though they need to implement some sort of protections, some sort of boundaries so that they don't find themselves in, hurt by whatever decision that you're still pending on. And what you're thinking about may not be, anything to that degree or to that level, but like I said, communication is key. If you're not communicating that, then you leave it up for another person to interpret. So I don't want to be repetitive. That's what I'm getting from this message. Again, this is a collective reading, so that may not be your specific, what the energy you're stepping on right now. If it's not for you, definitely leave it for someone else. Don't take any energy that's not yours. But I'm going to get into the tarot, and we'll see if we can get more information on this and see what the messages are, what Divine has to say. And yeah, let's see here. Okay. Thank you, Infinite Spirit. Thank you. Communication is key. Your communication is tested. What do you need to release? For some of us, we need to release that fear of vulnerability. For clarity, okay. I'm getting some messages out here. Oh, something wants to fall. Okay. So let's see what we have so far. First out is the High Priestess. The High Priestess, followed by the Queen of Pentacles. Okay, followed by the Ace of Swords, clarity, followed by the King of Swords. Okay, it's pure decisiveness. So what I'm seeing here, with the High Priestess leading in this tarot spread, we're definitely stepping on into this full moon energy, right? The High Priestess is definitely someone that lives in the subconscious, but it's also a reminder for us to trust where our intuition is leading us, right? To trust that the divine is guiding whatever decisions that we need to make, and we should be able to stand fully into that thing that we're considering, into the knowledge that we have on a subject, or the knowledge we have about a relationship and what we choose to do with it, right? So followed by the Queen of Pentacles is, I'm getting more of the nurturing aspect of it. And with the Queen of Pentacles being here is definitely, the Queen is definitely representing of a higher energy. And the Queens are also the leaders of the, I would say, not so much of the controlling aspect, but definitely that more of a nurturing. So being here with the High Priestess, I'm seeing that there's definitely a finite decision that you are tethering on, right? Maybe this decision is one that you're finding, maybe you're still searching yourself to see from where it comes from, right? Maybe you're trying to convince yourself out of, I don't want to say I don't see any fear here, especially with the Ace of Swords here. Ace of Swords is definite clarity, followed by the King of Swords, which is very much head over heart, definitely not caught up in the feelings about it. But starting off, there's definitely a lot of water sensitive or emotionally sensitive subject matter here. And maybe you being with the oracle messages coming out about your commitment being tested and being able to communicate. Maybe you're feeling as if you don't want to, maybe you fear that your feelings, and I want to say fear, or maybe you've had some concerns, or maybe you're kind of thinking about if how you feel would cause some disruption to the current order of things, right? If that commitment that's being tested and you saying, well, listen, fuck that commitment. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not worried about that commitment. That commitment has already been released, you know, in my mind. I've already conceptualized it. I've already reconciled it. I've already come to terms with where it is currently. And, you know, I'm okay with that, you know, but have you been able to communicate that? And I see that being the next steps that are being taken here, with the Ace of Swords here being that mental clarity, and also the King of Swords being here that's very much mentally clear and being able to take the action of it, right? Because you think about the kings are active. You know, the queens are more recessive. They're more internal. They're more thinking about the heart of the matter, the heart of the subject. And then you get into that king energy, starting off with the queen, ending up in the king energy of saying, okay, yes, I've thought about it from an emotional standpoint, and not just my feelings, but the High Priestess is saying the morals of the situation in period, whether it's from your perspective only, considering this perspective of the other party, and I've done that. You know, the decision that I'm making is not just so that it's beneficial for me, but it's something that I know that if I'm a part of, if I'm bringing something of value into this commitment, you know, I'm just going to use that word since that's what the Oracle gave us. But if I'm bringing something valuable into this commitment or this relationship or this partnership, however you see it, or if it's adding something of value to me into my life, right? If it's bringing a balance of spirituality and practicality is what I'm getting from this tarot spread as well, because you get into the spiritual to begin, but that practical of bringing it down from the mind into action. And then we have the bottom of the deck, the Six of Pentacles. Six of Pentacles being here is also it's almost a balance is what I'm looking at. You know, when you think about the Six of Pentacles, of course it's giving, and maybe what you're offering is that communication, and that would be something that would be of benefit to the parties that are involved. You know, I don't want to say that the collective, I don't want to say you're out here stonewalling people. Maybe you are. Maybe because, you know, maybe this is you also coming of age. You know, when I think about, you know, what you need to release, that can definitely be, that can also mean, you know, that can be seen in different ways, you know. Maybe what you're releasing is an old mindset of you just going cold or maybe ghosting, and now, you know, you're at a position where you're able to share, you know, share what's on your mind, share because that would bring value to the situation, that communication that is key, you know. And you know, there's so many symbols here that can be seen, you know, with Taurus, Chiron being in Taurus. You know, you think about, you know, I really don't want to get into signs, but just talking about the archetypes and the the characteristics and personalities of the bull is pretty, is pretty much, headstrong, I guess you can say stubborn, but I can see that as being a protective, as their protection. But, maybe you're a Taurus, or maybe just being in the season of doing that, being cold, shutting things off, not sharing how you feel, and you feel very deeply about it, with the High Priestess and the Queen of Pentacles being there. It's something you feel very deeply about. And maybe, like I said, you were the type to just reconcile your feelings and just move on. But with the swords being here, the Ace of Swords and the King of Swords, not only are you making a finite decision about how you feel, but you're also talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you're in a position to where you're open up about that and communicate. And then with you overcoming that, because the Fool card is next. And I think what people miss about the Fool card, it is this sense of innocence. And I guess with that, a feeling like you're doing something different by opening up and actually talking about how you feel, instead of just knowing that you're right? You took the high road, you thought about it, and okay, whether you're in or you're out, being able to communicate that might be a new thing for you, right? And I'm feeling like very introverted about this. It's almost making me feel nervous to explain it, right? So maybe like it was something that's new to you. Maybe you didn't feel like what you felt or was of value. Maybe you didn't feel that your emotions and your input was valuable. And this is what, and the divine is saying that it is. It's saying that it absolutely is valuable. With the Six of Pentacles being here, is something of value, and it can also be freeing to you, right? It can be something that can set you off on, it can be an initiation for you, it can be a blessing for you. I think that's what a lot of people miss about the Fool arcana, major arcana, is that not only is this the beginning of the cycle, beginning of a new journey, which is an indication of an initiation of a new path, but it also is very much not worrying about whether the timing is right? Is this the perfect time for me to say this? Is this a good time for me to express how I feel? How is it going to be received? Am I going to be deemed worthy? Is somebody going to shut me down? This is saying, get out of your head, get into your heart, get into your soul, get into what's going to be a blessing for you. Because what you find during that moment of sharing, that moment of vulnerability, is the new opportunity, the initiation that's going to take you to that Three of Pentacles, which is the opportunity to build something. Maybe you'll get that thing that you're looking for, and it might be that perfect partnership, that perfect relationship, or that, I don't want to say that perfect, but, because that's definitely subjective, depending on what you need. But this is definitely a unification of love. This is a unification of connection. This is a mutual attraction. So don't let, in this full moon, this newness, this Cancer season, also in Mercury retrograde, this could be a connection that you may have had in the past, that may have gone stale, that you may have gone cold over because of your fear of vulnerability or your reluctancy to vulnerability. I don't want to say fear. I'm not getting any fear here. Maybe you were just reluctant about it because you'd already made up in your mind to reconcile with it and just let it be what it is. But this here, what I'm getting is asking you to do something new. What do you need to release, right? Release that mindset, that ideology, that what you feel is not worth communicating, because that would definitely bring you to where you're trying to, what you desire, right? The Two of Cups is also the first deacon of Cancer. It's representation of, we're in Cancer season. So that would be alignment for you. That would be the initiation for you to step out of your mind, to step out of your feelings, because I feel like this is something you feel strongly about, or if you feel that strong about it, let it go through its channels of releasing. It's not doing you any good, because you're asking for that balance. You know, the Oracle is asking you to balance that spirituality with practicality, and that's the inner world with the outer, so that you're able to, you know, get to that unification, that balance. Okay, so this is getting very deep. I hope that this helps. I hope that this is able to point you in the direction that you need to go, and that it is some advice that you would consider accepting, so that you can level up, reach to your new level, reach to your new heights. And I think I'm gonna leave a message here, okay? While you're here, please like, share, subscribe, comment. Also, you know, I would love to hear from you guys. And also that keeps creators like myself in this space. All right. Talk to you soon. All right. Peace. Get out of here.